a little program which did everything for itself, right? You have to think how you can apply the same philosophy, to the news innovation. I'm sure there would be phase like fact-checking, right? How you can make the fact-checking process involving as many community members as possible. Those are the kind of processes which exist and which can be improved very easily, right? Second advice is how you can actually build this community with perfect interaction, right? So it's not just you create a website where people can comment, where they actually have community interaction, right? So how to make it as lively as possible. And I usually show this graph, which to me explains very well the success of any social website, right? You have those are the contributors, right? And how much contributors get involved with your website. And I think the crucial part is here. This is the core, right? This is where all major content gets created. This is probably 5 or 10% of all your website's audience, right? And they do all those things. But you see, again, the majority of the people lie not in the core, they lie in the periphery, right? So they do very little things. They read, they favorite, they tag, they comment, and their involvement with the website increases, and at that point, they fall into the core. How you can structure your social website in a way in which you can clearly separate your audience into periphery and core and make the life of this audience as easy as possible. Because eventually they will evolve, right? The most active ones will evolve, but you do need to give them things to engage in at this bottom level, right? They do need to be able to read, to favorite, to comment, to send links to others, to subscribe, all those things. And eventually they will evolve into administrators. And that's how Wikipedia works. Because most of the edits on both Wikipedia and Dig come from a very small number of small percentage of users. There's probably 1 or 2% of users who are responsible for 90% of all edits, right? So for you, it's very crucial how to identify that 1 or 2%. I'll probably skip that. Also, it's a very nice graph. This probably is the last one. Okay, how to mobilize a formed community for what cause? Again, this would be the very last question which you would ask yourself once you have built a community, right? How can you find an activity in which you can engage those people, right? Because it's not that you would just build a community, let them do something, and they would do it forever, right? Unless they have a clearly defined purpose, like Wikipedia, for example. You are trying to improve the world's knowledge by creating the biggest Wikipedia, right? They do have a very clear sense of purpose. What would that sense of purpose be for a newspaper or a news magazine? It's very hard to find out. Again, some blogs offer interesting innovations here. TechDirt is a very famous technology blog in the US. What they are doing, they created something, after they've built a successful community, they created something called the Insight community, where basically corporate clients can go in and post sort of a challenge. They say, well, we need to know when iPhones will suddenly become unpopular, something of that sort, or what mobile phone will be the most popular one in 6 months, right? And then the bloggers from TechDirt Insight community, if they're members of their network, can post answers, and then the best 3 answers get money from the client who posted the inquiry, right? So again, it's finding a process in which you can engage your audience in something which will earn them money and which will make them feel useful and which will still be relevant to the mission of your blog or to the mission of your website. The Economist is doing some very interesting things. The way they approach innovation is that they started a project called Project Red Stripe a couple of months ago, where they got 6 people from The Economist together, gave them a budget, and told them, well, guys, innovate, right? And the guys spent 5 months, and the idea they came up with is to try to use the network of Economist readers for sort of international volunteering, right? So they want to somehow engage the smart brains of people who read The Economist into international volunteering projects. So create some sort of a social network in which good things might eventually come out. I think this project will fail, yeah, but the philosophy is the philosophy here is very useful because they are looking for an anchor activity which can empower the users of a website to do something beyond just reading news. I think this would be crucial, especially with many pressures from the publishing side, which wants to keep people on the website for as long as possible for advertising purposes, right? So those anchor activities would need to be found sooner or later. Yeah? So that's something to think about. this I'll skip, this I'll skip. And again, remember, it doesn't work for everything, right? You have to understand that if you're really looking at groundbreaking product design, and that's something I said on Wednesday, crowdsourcing philosophy may not work, right? So again, that was a graph showing you normally what sort of products emerge if you look at new products from the community, from the wisdom of crowds, versus the products which emerge through individual design, right? And it is the individual design which normally produces the groundbreaking products, which are simple, balanced, sexy, and sort of usable. Whereas, the wisdom of crowds normally gives you the products which are sort of boring, mainstream, and don't have any groundbreaking innovation, right? So whenever you're thinking about crowdsourcing, you have to realize that it would fit some activities, like improvements of existing processes, for example, right? But not the creation of new groundbreaking ones, right? And here I'll probably stop. You have my email, and I almost finished today without skipping too much. Thank you. Okay, so.